Here's to section 4.3, graphing functions. Okay, we're going to start with graph f of x equal 3x minus 2. This is like your number 1 in your homework. First of all, when you see f of x, you can replace this with y because it means the same thing. So then we're graphing y equal 3x minus 2. And we can set up a little table first. This is sort of like what we did in 4.1. To graph this linear function, we only need 2 points. But we can get a third point as a check to make sure they all line up. So you pick easy values of x. You can pick any x you want. 0 is usually a nice, easy x value. When x is 0, 3 times 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Another easy one is 1. 3 times 1 is 3 minus 2 is 1. And probably another one that's easy is x equal 2. 3 times 2 is 6 minus 2 is 4. So then we just plot those points. 1, 1, 2, 4, and 0, negative 2. And when we're graphing the function, we're graphing all possible solution points. All the points are going to reside on this solid line passing through these points. So that solid line with the arrows on each side represents all possible solution points you could get for y equal 3x minus 2. Okay, here's another one. F of x equals 2x plus 1. Find solution points at a minimum 2, but get 3 points as a check, and try this on your own and graph them. So pause the video and try this on your own. So here again, picking x equals 0, it's a nice point to pick. 0 times 2 plus 1 is 1. X equal 1, 2 plus 1 is 3. When x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 makes 5. So we've got our 3 points that we need. So 0, 1, 1, 3, and 2, 5. And then we draw a line through the points. And that gives us all the possible points. And my line's a little crooked here. Maybe I'll straighten it out. There, that's a little better. Okay. Here's another problem you can try on your own. Graph f of x equals 1/2 x minus 2. So pause the tape. Try this on your own. Okay, I'm going to pick some x values. I'm going to pick x equals 0. I like that. 1/2 times 0 minus 2 is negative 2. That's a nice, easy point. But now instead of choosing x equal 1, I want to choose 2 because that's going to cancel out that 1/2. When x is 2, 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And now for my next x, I'm not going to pick 3, but I'm going to pick 4 because 1/2 times 4 minus 2 is 2 minus 2, which is 0. So by picking the right x values, I get rid of that fraction. So now I plot these points. Okay, my x's go up to 4. My y's go down to negative 2, 0, negative 2, x equal 2, negative 1, and 4, 0. They all line up, which they should, because it's a line. and we get this graph. And I forgot to mention, we can always replace that f of x with y. So we're actually graphing y equal 1/2 x minus 2. Okay, for the next example that you should try, graph f of x equal 1/2 x minus 2, and that's the same as y equals 1/2 x minus 2. And whoops, I didn't mean to write that. What I meant, it was graph f of x equal 1/3 x minus 1/2. So that's y equal 1/3 x minus 1/2. Okay, try this problem on your own. Pause the video and try and graph it. This one's a little harder with the fractions. Okay, so I can't get rid of all the fractions with my x values, but I at least can get rid of some of the fractions. I'm going to pick, starting out, x equals 0. 0 times 1/3 is a 0. Minus 1/2 is negative 1/2. Then I'm going to go pick x3. 3/3 is 1. Minus 1/2 is 1/2. And then my next value I would pick would be 6. Or you could pick -3 as well. But I'm going to go with 6. 6, 1/3 times 6 minus 1/2 is 6/3, which is 2 minus 1/2, which is 1 1/2 or 3/2. So there's 3 solution points. And what we have to do, I have my graph set up here, so what do we do with these halves? Well, we set up our graph in halves rather than whole units. At least on the y side, or on the y direction. So 0, negative 1/2 is this point here. 3, 1/2 is this point here. And 6, 1 1/2 is right here. Draw our line through, and we have our graph. Okay, the next problem I'd like you to try is graph g of x equal negative x over 4. That's like number 5 of the homework. And remember, this is the same as y equal negative x over 4. So pick your 3 points, and I would recommend use multiples of 4 that will cancel that 4 out. So try this on your own. And I'm going to start with 0. 0 divided by 4 is 0. Then I'm going to go with 4. Well, negative 4 over 4 is negative 1. Then I'm going to go with 8. Negative 8 over 8, or over 4, is negative 2. So that gives me 3 points. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4, and so our first point is 0, 0, 4, negative 1, and then 8, negative 2, and draw our line through. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is plotting a linear equation using intercepts. 2x plus 3y equals 6. To graph that, we just need any 2 solution points. Now, the easiest solution points for this particular equation are the intercepts. The x-intercept is where the graph intersects the x-axis. that's when y will equal 0. The y-intercept is where the graph intercepts the y-axis. That's when x will equal 0. So when y equals 0, what does x equal? And what I often show is, well, just cover up the y term. And you get 2x equals 6. X is 3. When x is 0, we just cover up the x term because it's gone. It's 0. 3y equals 6. Y is 2. So those are our 2 points. 2 points are enough to plot the graph, and that's it. We've got our graph. So for some equations, it's very easy to graph using the intercepts. Well, in this case, because we got nice whole numbers. But it's a lot easier than just plugging in x values and having to calculate the y value. So here's a problem for you to try. Graph 3x plus 4y equal 12 by plotting the intercepts. So pause the video and try this on your own. Okay, well, here again, we let y equals 0 to give us the x-intercept and x equals 0 to give us the y-intercept. When y is 0, just cover up the y term. 3x equals 12, x is 4. And when x is 0, cover up the x term. 4y equals 12, y is 3. So once again, we had a real simple graph. 4, 0, 0, 3. Those are the 2 points. And that gives us our line. Okay, let's look at one that's sort of like number 7 in the homework, where we have a minus sign here. Graph 5x minus 2y equals 10. Using this intercepts method, okay, when we let x equal 0, we don't have 2y equal 10, but we have negative 2y equal 10. So y is not 5, it's negative 5. And then when y is 0, 5x equals 10, so x is 2. So our two intercepts are 0, negative 5, and 2, 0, and we have our enough for our line. So that's like number 7. Sometimes you have a negative involved. And I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to go to one more you try it one, like number 8 of the homework, and people tend to have problems with this. So let's go to one like that. Okay, I want you to find the intercepts of 1/2 x plus 1/4 y equal 1/3. We're not going to graph this, but just find the intercepts. So pause the video and try this on your own. So you need these 2 points, one where x is 0 and one where y is 0. If x is 0, we have 1/2 times 0 plus 1/4 y equals 1/3. Okay, so we have 0 plus 1/4 y, or 1/4 y equals 1/3. And we solve for y by multiplying both sides by 1/4. Or multiplying both sides by 4 rather. And that cancels out the 1/4. And we have y equals 4/3 when x is 0. So that's one of the intercepts. Now for the other intercept, where y equals 0, the x-intercept, we have 1/2 x plus 1/4 times 0 equals 1/3. So that gives us 1/2 x equals 1/3. And this time we multiply both sides by 2. So we get x equals 2/3. So our other intercept is x equals 2/3 y equals 0. You can write it that way, or write it as ordered pairs, 0 4/3 and 2/3 0. So either way is fine as far as writing that answer. They mean the same things. So that's it for 4.3. Any other questions? Post a question on discussions.